Floors, I thought the answer was work harder. Because I really wanted to earn some money.
Yeah, of course.
And I thought it was all important. Today, my attitude towards money has changed dramatically.
And all of a sudden, you wake up 6 months from now, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I have that much saved in my savings account.
So the road to what you're solving for, you don't have to say, I have to be an entrepreneur.
Did you know that your mindset is what keeps you from being wealthy? Well, in this video, we talked to some of the top entrepreneurs in the world on what they did to achieve wealth and what you can do as well.
You mentioned how you were making $4,000 something dollars a year. Your expenses were $6,000, I think, something like that. And then you started making $14,000.
No, my expenses wasn't $6,000. I owed $6,000.
You owed $6,000.
I owed everybody that I knew.
And you were making around $14,000 a year after that, shortly after
No,
that.
I went from earning
A month,
$4,000 a year to $14,500 a month.
Exactly.
Now, if you annualize that, that was $175 a year. So I went from earning $4,000 a year to $175. I hadn't earned $175 that year. I got it up to $14,500 a month. So if you annualize it, that's a change. Phenomenal change.
Is it possible for anyone to go from poverty level to extremely
Absolutely.
financially successful?
Absolutely. I think earning money is one of the simplest things I ever learned. And it's one of the most misunderstood things. Wealthy people historically have always had multiple sources of income. They don't have one. They have many.
Yeah.
I was cleaning floors. I thought the answer was work harder. Because I really wanted to earn some money.
Yeah, of course.
And I thought it was all important. Today, my attitude towards money has changed dramatically. But I thought the answer was get another office to clean. Well, I was working so hard, I passed out on the street. I would have been maybe 27, 28. I literally passed out on the street. I was working so hard. I came to, and there's a great big cop looking at me. I was laying there. It was scary. There was a group of people around me. I saw lights flashing. Then I saw a couple of guys in uniform with a stretcher. And it was scary. I had passed out. I guess they thought I had dropped dead. I had a heck of a time getting away from them, but I did get away. They didn't take me in the hospital. I talked them out of it. And I got away, and I got thinking, I'm not doing this right.
Working harder, working more hours is not the way.
No.
Yeah.
In fact, Napoleon Hill wrote that in Think and Grow Rich. He said, if you are one of those people who believe that hard work and honesty alone will bring riches, perish the thought, it is not true. Riches, when they come in huge quantities, never come as a result of hard work. They come, if they come at all, in response to definite demands based upon the application of definite principles and not by chance or luck. So you got to find a demand and fill it, but you got to follow definite principles to do it.
Wow.
In other words, it's got to be in harmony with the law. You got to give more than you get. If you're trying to get, forget it.
Yeah.
Well, I got by myself and I thought, I'm doing something wrong. I was earning more money, but here I'm passing out. This is not normal. And it's like a little voice in my head said, if you can't clean all of them, don't clean any of them. So I got all dressed up. People now accuse me of sleeping in my suit. I wouldn't take a suit off. Didn't matter where I was. Because I knew the cleaners were tired, and I would go around. I got other people cleaning offices. And I knew pretty well where they'd be. So I dropped around, I'd bring coffee and donuts, and I would drop in and I would talk to them about goals. And then I'd go to the next person. But I always was dressed up because I knew how tired you get. And if I was in working clothes, they'd expect me to help them so they could finish and go home.
Interesting.
But when I had shiny shoes and a suit and shirt and tie, they didn't expect me to help them clean. So I'd go on to the next place and then the next place. And that's when I started to open offices. I went from Toronto to Montreal to Boston to Cleveland to Atlanta to London, England.
And you hired cleaners.
Everywhere I went.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had people cleaning.
What should someone think about if they're struggling financially right now, or they feel like they've been struggling for many years, and it feels like they're just surviving week after week, month after month. They're not sure how to get to that kind of sense of freedom for at least a 6-month runway or beyond. What should they start thinking about?
Do you know what you've just described, I believe, The majority of people are living that way.
Yeah.
The majority. Now that's rather sad, but I think
Yeah.
it's true. And it's because we only have one problem in the whole world, and that's ignorance. They're living in ignorance. They don't know that what they're doing is going to keep them where they are. And they keep doing it because they don't know how to change. They're overwhelmed with the debt. People are saying, I need the money. They haven't got it. They want to take their family on a vacation. They don't have the money to go. So they may borrow it and go anyway. Now they got more debt. They have to understand that they don't have to live that way. I wrote a book called You're Born Rich. The truth is you are. Most people are just a little short of money. But you are born rich in potential. Anybody can go to our site, go to bobproctor.com. You can download the book, You Were Born Rich, free. It won't cost you a cent. And chapter 2 is how much is enough. It's described very well how to get out of debt. You got to create a debt repayment program where it's all done automatically. And then you focus on prosperity. You've got to have a financial goal. You've got to work toward it. And you've got to understand that you can earn more than you're earning. And wealthy people don't have one source of income. They have more than one. I was earning money all last night while I was sleeping.
Yeah.
You can actually earn more money when you're sleeping than you can spend when you're awake.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like a cute line, but it's true. There's no end to what we can earn. If you are not getting information from someone who is already wealthy, then you're probably getting information from the wrong people. Most people ask their brother-in-law, or the guy next door, or the girl they know, how do I earn more? Hell, if they knew, they'd be earning it. They don't know. And most people talk to people that don't know. Carlyle put it very well. He said he did not believe in the collective wisdom of individual ignorance. And that's where most people are getting it, from people that don't know any more than themselves. I think you have to go. That's why these seminars are so important today.
Yeah.
People have the opportunity to go and learn. Most people won't pay to go. I tell people, listen, you invest in this, it'll probably be, and borrow the money to do it. It's probably the last time you'll ever have to borrow money.
Yeah.
Our seminars are not raw. It's not nothing. Our seminars teach people about themselves. It's like when Bill Gove said, if I want to be free, I got to be me. I'm thinking, I better know who me is. I didn't know who me was. I was doing a lot of things. I was doing them right, and I was earning money, but I didn't know who I was. I started to study me. And the more I know me, the better I know you. You only have to study yourself. You'll know what everybody, because we're all the same.
Yeah.
It's our behavior that's different, our results that are different.
I heard a friend of mine, Dean Graziosi, I don't know if he coined this or someone else said it, and he said it from someone else, but he said, those that pay attention. And when you invest in yourself, you're paying attention to
I
what
never
you're
heard
doing.
that before, but that is the truth.
Those that pay attention. But if you don't pay for it, you're not going to pay as much attention. If you pay more, you'll pay more attention to learn.
I had an aunt and uncle who were as poor as church mice. I mean, they just didn't have anything. And they had a whole house full of kids. And I used to drop by their house periodically. I was doing very well, and I was teaching seminar. And I remember it was around Christmas time, and he was rushing around trying to get credit cards from some big stores so they could buy presents for the kids.
Yeah.
And I said, you know something? He said, never mind, next year will be different. I said, you know something? Next year is going to be exactly the same as it is this year, because you never change you.
Wow.
I said, you should get into the seminars and learn something. I know something you don't know. Well, they came to the seminar. He got paid every 2 weeks. So that meant 3 times a year, I think, he'd get paid 3 times, maybe 4 times a year. He'd get paid 3 times in a month. That one pay was extra because they were budgeted for 2 pays. I made them pay to come to it. Wow. Something said I made them pay. And I think they thought I should have comped them into it. But you know, Mark thanked me, my aunt, I don't know how many times that I charged them. She said, we wouldn't have kept coming. I didn't even know what you were talking about. I was running seminars, it was 7 evenings from 7 to 10. It was running over a series of nights years ago. And she said, I wouldn't have kept coming. But she said, because we paid, I came.
Of course.
He's right. If they pay attention. That is so true.
That's it.
And if they don't,
You're not going to be. You're not going to care. When you hear something you don't like, this is not for me.
That's
Let me get
right.
out of here. I got something better to do.
Yeah.
Especially in LA, I want to go to the beach. This is too hard work.
Yeah.
It's confronting my ego. I don't need this.
I'm firmly convinced if a person doesn't understand a paradigm is nothing but a multitude of habits. They're programmed into your subconscious mind to control your behavior. It's got nothing to do with how smart you are. It's got nothing to do with what your formal education is. It's got nothing to do from which side of the tracks you come from. It has to do with your paradigm. The paradigm is a program in your subconscious mind. It's both genetic and environmental that's controlling your behavior. Everyone that can hear my voice knows how to do better than they're doing. And they may wonder, why don't I do it? It's because you're programmed to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And until you change the program, nothing's going to change. Paradigm has to be changed.
I love that. What would you say are if you could share 3 key habits for people that if they want to continue to grow every day, be more prosperous, be more abundant, happier, joyful, healthier in their life, what are 3 key things, habits every day, not talking about morning routine, but just overall habits every single day? What should people be focusing on consistently?
They should study every day.
Study.
They should have a mentor, someone that has already accomplished what they dream about. They might not even know the person, but they could get introduced to them and ask them, what are half a dozen things I should do every day?
Yeah.
Ask them. They know. Most people are getting advice from people that don't know any more than themselves.
Yeah.
And the third one, you've definitely got to have a goal, and when you write it, you've already got it intellectually. So you operate intellectually, emotionally, and physically. Well, your intellectual mind, the second you decide on it, you've got it. It tells you in the Bible, before you speak, I'll hear you. It's because the thought always precedes the word. The second you get emotionally involved, you've got it emotionally.
Yep.
You've got it intellectually, you've got it emotionally. It's only a period of time till you got it physically.
Be, do, have, yeah.
That's right. But the have comes in a period of time.
So it's not overnight?
Every seed has a gestation or an incubation period.
Yeah.
When a woman gets pregnant with a child, it takes 280 days.
Yeah.
The husband doesn't come home a month later and say, come on, where is it?
Right.
He waits, as James Allen said, as one who understands.
Mm.
He understands there's a gestation period. Where I come from, if you plant a seed for a carrot, it takes approximately 70 days for it to manifest.
Mm.
All physical seeds have a gestation or an incubation period. We know that now, but we didn't always know that. We weren't always aware. No one knows what the gestation period is for a spiritual seed, and an idea is a spiritual seed.
Mm-hmm.
But we do know that it operates by the same laws. And the laws of the universe are precise. They can be studied.
Yeah.
They can be understood. We operate by law. Our life is governed by laws. Like we know it's going to get dark tonight. We don't wonder if it is.
Yeah.
You know when the tide goes out, it's coming back. Winter never follows winter. We know these things. That's all expression of law.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we bring our life into harmony with the laws, we're going to enjoy more of life.
Yeah.
If we fight it, we're going to lose.
I'm curious, do we need to know the next 5 moves, or do we need to know the first move?
Yeah, very good question. So the whole premise behind this book, how this came about was, you know how everybody talks about what is the key to success. You know, the key to success is marry the right person, save money, work hard, go to school, get a degree, love people, faith, God. You hear so many different things. And we were having this debate one time, and I would ask everybody, it's just the basic question everybody, what's the key to success? What is it? I'm like, you know what? Years later, I said, in my mind, the biggest key to success, almost anybody I see that takes it to a whole different level, the highest levels, the difference between them and other people is their sequencing. And what I mean by sequencing is the following. So you and I may have the same vision of what we want to do in life, okay? You want to get here, I want to get here. This could be anything. We both want to build $1 billion company. Fine. We both want to be building a company that does 100 million a year. We both want to go into football. We both want to go play at the highest level. We both want to go out there and be great sales. Whatever it may be, that's the ultimate, right? If my order of steps I take to go here isn't as efficient as yours because your sequencing is better, you're going to get there faster than I am. And I may never even get there because I'm trying to do move 14 on move 3. And that's the most common thing that you see. One day I woke up, I was in a relationship, and I'm 26 years old, 27 years old, 26, 25 years old, and I'm trying to get my business going. I wake up 6 o'clock in the morning. I get a text. Babe, I have to tell you this. As much as I love you, I don't see this relationship going anywhere. One of those texts. Because I think my mom is right. You love your business more than you love me, and I barely see you. I only see you once a week. You're working so hard. First text. Then, message. I press the message to listen to it. My mom. You know, there used to be a time they used to love me, and you would call me and tell me you love me. What happened to those? What happened to my little son that used to love his mother? I'm like,
Call me every day, hug me.
That's the part. So now I got a breakup on the line. I got a guilt trip from my mom. That's still 6:02 right now. Then I get an email.
You haven't even got out of bed yet.
I haven't even gotten out of bed yet. Then I get an email that's been in the box for a while, and I look at it. It's from my number one client that I was about to expect like a $15,000 commission, and that's a lot of money at that time. And my number one client says he's leaving me for the following reasons. And then at the same time, the next email is my agent saying I resign. My number one agent resigns. This all happens before 6:05, 6:10. So I'm in bed, anxiety is high, panic is high. I have no idea what to do. In that moment, all I thought about is, what are my next 5 moves? What do I need to do next? From that moment on, everything I did with business, I would ask myself, I'm going to do this next, my next 10, 15 moves. Or what would this guy do? This guy that built an empire, what would he do? What are we going to do here? What can I do to be better than this guy? What can I do to be more efficient? And what can I do to speed up the process to get here? But everything came down to your next 5 moves. So you're asking the question, is the first move the most important? Absolutely it is. If you don't know your next move can hurt the chances of you even getting to the 5th move.
Yeah.
So it's always your next move that matters the most.
What is the next move that everyone should be thinking about?
So the first thing you have to do is you gotta, last night I'm at Rafi's place and I'm having dinner with my 3 buddies. None of us are supposed to do anything in life. One of them is Stephen Offo. They're running a $300 billion a year business. Steve was the Michael Jordan of our high school. Wow. Okay, he's a great basketball player, but we're all 2.0 GPA kids.
Right.
And Armand was
great salesman.
Yes.
2.0 guys.
Yes. And Armand was always a fighter. He would always get in trouble. Like he was a guy that, he's a 5'6" guy, you don't want to fight. Like you'd go to a party, you know the smallest guy, you go to a party and this 5'6" guy would go to a party and he would stand there and he would say, that guy's looking at me. I'm like, bro, he's not looking at you. No, I know he's looking at me. He's looking at me. I'm like, I promise you he's not looking. He's the kind of guy that would walk up and just punch the guy in the face.
Just for no reason.
Just for no reason. What is the matter with you, right? That's his wiring.
Yeah.
But we're all together yesterday. Now we all have kids. We have 2, 3, and Armand has 4 kids. We're sitting, we're talking. Armand runs Rafi's Place. If you've been to Rafi's Place, the restaurant in Glendale, if you've not been, you got to go. It's the best Middle Eastern restaurant. Wow. We're sitting there yesterday and we're having all these conversations. Challenges men go through, whether it's marriage, money, health, what happens at 41, everything that you don't want to talk publicly that men are insecure about, we just talk about it right there, right, collectively. And the biggest thing that I talked with one of my friends yesterday is, listen, your number one move is you identifying who you want to be. Not who Tiffany wants to be, it's who do you want to be. Not what Patrick wants to be, not what Bobby wants, not what your older brother, sister, mom, dad, who do you want to be? If you and I can figure out who we want to be, and it's as transparent and as clear as possible, I don't have to compare myself against your success. Now here's a problem though. Say for instance, I sit there and I say, honestly, I just want to be a person that's just a regular person, and I'm glad if I make 80 grand a year, 100 grand a year, I have a nice place, I'm married, I'm happy, my kids are with me, I have good relationships, I'm totally happy. If you say that,
if that's what you want to be.
If you say that's what you want to be.
But if you say, I want something else, and you're not doing it, then what?
Exactly, but watch this one here. If you say that's what you want to be and you're content with that life, but behind closed doors, your buddy Lewis Howes is making millions, he's doing great, he's all over the place, people are talking about it. If an ounce of envy or jealousy comes in, you either weren't being honest with yourself, because that's not exactly who you wanted to be, or you got to ask the decision. Am I living my life or his life? That's the toughest thing to do, right? Toughest thing to do. Now, the other side of it is that let's just say you got a big upside. In sports, a lot of times, Stephen A. Smith did an interview the other day, and they asked him about Vince Carter, and it was the toughest question that was asked. They said, so Vince Carter, he just announced 23 years of retirement. He's leaving the NBA. Stephen A., what can you say about Vince Carter's legacy? Okay, now I don't know if you guys know who Vince Carter is. This guy dunked over the
amazing.
7-footer in the Olympics. The guy retired afterwards. He
Dunk
got a contract
contest
for
with the elbow,
dunk contest
everything.
with the elbow. Sick what he was doing in Toronto, McGrady. It's just beautiful when you watch this guy play. I remember one time he dropped 50 in the playoffs. You thought this guy's going to win the championships. And he came from Tar Heels, North Carolina.
Yeah.
He's going to be the next Mike. But here's what Stephen A. said about Vince Carter. Very difficult. He said, you know how Stephen A. does his thing? He's just kind of like, and he typically is quick to give the answer. 1 second goes by, 2 seconds goes by, 5 seconds goes by. He still hasn't said a word. Then all of a sudden he says, well, I got to tell you, this is a good brother. I love this man. He's a great man. He goes into building him up, and then he says,
But
it is the most unfulfilled talent we've ever seen in the history of the NBA.
really?
He says, this man should have been competing with the Kobes of the world, the LeBrons of the world, the Jordans of the world, but we never saw it. I wish I would have seen the best of him. And it's like 1 minute and 13 seconds. It's so awkward.
Oh.
If Vince Carter watches that and it doesn't bother him, more power to you, because you were happy to be in the NBA and you were cool with that. But if you watch that and it bothers you, deep down inside he could have done more. So you as the individual have to make a decision. Either I'm going for I want all the marbles, and I'm willing to go be embarrassed, lose, public humiliation after another one until I get there, or I'm going to live a simple life and I'm okay with this. But you have to be clear about that. That's step number one.
Wow.
Hey, it's Lewis here, and I would love to connect directly with you. Text me the word YouTube to my number 614-350-3960 to receive weekly inspirational messages from me.
Okay, and what's step 2?
Once you're identifying that part, then it's figuring out your own talents that you have. And once I know my talents, where can my talents be used? If you're a numbers guy, what industry can use your talents? Well, maybe it's finance, economy, investment banker. Maybe it's on that side. If it's a creative side, maybe I'm going to go be on the marketing side. Maybe I want to be behind the scenes. I don't want to be in front of camera. I want to be the support person. Then you say, well, I'm not a good number 1 guy. I'm a good number 2 person. I'm a number 3 person. Then you have to find out your positioning at the point of your life. Tom was the former president of our company, PHP. One of the best decisions was hiring this guy. When I hired Tom and brought him on board, he introduced me to Vistage years ago. Vistage is kind of like a YPO, EO. You're familiar with YPO. Yes. So Vistage is an element of that. It's very similar, but it's a little bit older crowd. YPO is a little bit younger. Vistage has 50, 60-year-olds, right? And I want to be around 60-year-olds. So introduced me to Vistage. And over the years, we became very good friends before I hired him. And I said, so Tom, let me ask you a question. In your life, you guys sold JamDad for $780 million. You got a massive exit, but you were the number 6 guy. How come you don't want to be the number 1 guy? He says, good question. He gave me the best answer. He says, you realize I'm 54 years old at the time when we were talking. He says, it took me 54 years to realize I'm not a good number 1.
54 years.
54 years to realize I'm not a good number 1.
What would have happened if you would have realized that at 30?
That's the point. Every one of his biggest checks he ever got, he was the number 5, the number 4, or every time he was number 1, the company didn't do well.
Interesting.
So sometimes we want to be number 1, but maybe you're not a number 1. Sometimes you want to be MJ, but maybe you're Scotty. Sometimes you want to be MJ and Scotty, but maybe you're John Paxson and Steve Kerr. Maybe you're somebody that later on is going to be the general manager of the Chicago Bulls. Your name is John Paxson. Maybe you're going to be a great coach. Years later winning 3 out of 5 championships. Your name is Steve Kerr. But you got to play your game with your strength. So
and in the season of life.
Exactly. And in the season of life. Because you may be a number 6 right now, but you may eventually be a good number 1. Maybe it's just
in
not
a different
time.
role, in a different package.
Yes. Yes, but it's the sequencing, man. Everything is sequencing.
What does sequencing mean for you? What is that?
Sequencing to me means, okay, if you wake up every day, you have a sequence of what you do. Okay, like what's the first thing you do when you wake up?
Mostly meditate.
Okay, what's the next thing you do?
Make my bed.
And then what's the next thing you do?
Brush my teeth, shower.
Okay, that's a sequence.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what if I wake up and the first thing I do is I shower first? Okay, then I go eat, then I put my clothes on, then I go to work, and I say sometime throughout the day I'm going to meditate. I just messed the whole sequence up. What is the foundation of what I'm starting the day with? right?
Yeah.
What is the sequence of what I'm going to be doing next? If every decision you're about to make next, whether it's marriage, having kids, business partnership, a joint venture, if everything you did, you stepped away from the world, your girl, your mom, your dad, your peers, your family, you went to a restaurant, you sat there with a piece of paper saying, okay, I'm thinking about marriage. What do I need to do next? What's the next move I need to make? Then you go, I don't know if that's number one. I think that's number three. And you play that game. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's like playing chess. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, these master chess players, they know their next 10 or 15 moves. The amateurs were like, here we go. This is what I'm going to do. You know, and these guys are like,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like, what are you doing?
Yeah. They
It's all
see it in the
It's all
future.
sequencing.
But it takes the steps to get to the future. You can't just jump to the future.
I mean, it's the story of Bob Iger, it's the story of Ted Turner, it's the story of Kirk Kerkorian. You know, how Kirk Kerkorian went from being a regular guy in Bakersfield who didn't graduate past 8th grade, you know, goes and pays a guy $1 to let him fly a plane and eventually becomes a pilot for Bugsy with the mob and eventually goes and becomes a pilot, buys TWA, turns it into a big company, sells it for a few $100 million, then decides to go to Vegas, then he decides to buy a couple hotels, then he buys 80 acres of property across the street from Tropicana, then he buys MGM. He's not the founder of MGM. He turns it into what it is, dies at 98 years old as a multi-billionaire, gives $1 billion to Armenia after the earthquake of 1988. This is all sequencing, man. This is all sequencing when you go through it. Everything is sequencing.
Yeah.
And when you look at it that way, you tend to make better decisions.
What was the time in your life where you tried to sequence, but it was the wrong sequencing and you got bad results? And
Yeah.
then what has been the time where you had the best sequencing, where you actually mapped it out in your mind, this is the sequence, you did it, and you created those results?
Yeah, so there's two answers to that. I'll give you both of them. One, I tried to sequence to get married at 23 years old.
You tried it.
It would have been catastrophic. Now, I love the girl. Great girl. We have a friendship till today. My wife sold her a policy.
Wow.
I mean, when we met, me and my girl would double date with my wife and her boyfriend. Very weird story.
Switched
We
girls.
just switched. They should have switched as well, but we switched, right? 5.5 years later, she's single, I'm single. I'm like, let's go on a date. But at the time, I was forcing marriage because, you know, you're looking at everybody saying, wow, everybody's getting married, and I think it's my time, and family, and I'm Armenian, I'm Assyrian, this marriage. And one day I'm like, dude, you are not ready. I asked the question, I said, would you let your daughter marry you? I said, hell no.
You asked the question to yourself.
I asked the question to myself, would you let your daughter marry the 24-year-old Pat right now? I said, absolutely not. I said, you ain't ready to get married. And we got the ring, married. The whole thing was lined up.
You got married. You were getting ready to get married.
We're getting ready to get married. She wasn't ready, I wasn't ready. It would have been catastrophic for both. But that journey of going that direction, it set me back 3 years. Completely set me back. Because I was dead set on wanting to live a life of other people. I was dead set on making the decision that's going to please the people that want me to get married. Yet I don't even know what marriage means. I don't even know the complexities of marriage. I don't even know if I'm done being single. I don't even know the fear about, like, if I get married, so do I still, that's a lot of challenge and stuff. And it set me back, like I said, 3 years. The other part is, Louis, that when you say, when did you do it? I've also done it where I've said, here's what I'm going to do, that maybe was premature of a decision. But then in that moment, it's fight, flight, or freeze.
You rise to the occasion.
You rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
Then, like when I started a company, I shouldn't, you know, at that
You weren't
time,
ready.
I was not ready. There's no way I was ready. Had $500,000 in a bank. I'd been around for 7.5 years. I don't know what it is to get insurance contracts. I don't know what it is to get E&O. I don't know what kind of things insurance companies want. I don't know what I'm going to face. We started it, and I went in without knowing anything. No website, no product, no nothing. Wasn't the smartest decision. One night I come home, my wife has the miscarriage, it's 1:30 in the morning, my bank account's at $13,000. I have no idea what to do. When I tell you I have no idea what to do. I came back, I said, listen, you put yourself in this position, now it's too late.
Yeah.
So some people may be watching, they're saying, well, I have to have a fresh start with my marriage or my business or this and this and that, and let me just close shop. Well, no, that's also not the case. Also the case is maybe, what's the best thing you can do with the current situation you have? And in that moment, had to make the best of it. And we made some right moves, and we did get some, you know, we experienced some luck, and we worked hard, and the next thing you know, things grew.
Yeah.
From having a few hundred agents to now 15, 16,000 agents in 49 states. We weren't expecting that. We were not expecting that. And I'm not talking about being in a company having salespeople. This is having to hire CFOs, raising money, founding, It's very complex without a 4-year degree, without a 2-year degree, without a finance. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
But somehow it happens. So yes, I would say sometimes there are many times where the sequencing wasn't right, but there are times that also wasn't right, but you have to make the best of it.
You made it work,
Yeah, you have to make it work.
And what's the difference between entrepreneur versus intrapreneur? And how do you know if you should be entrepreneur, or if you should be entrepreneurial
Yeah.
with a team and a mission that has funds and resources and it's not all on your shoulders?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, one of the things we talk about in this book, Your Next 5 Moves, is knowing, when you decide how you want to create your wealth and who you want to be. Meaning, okay, so who do you want to be? I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a solopreneur. I want to be a content creator. I want to be an influencer. I want to be an inventor. I want to be an investor. So you kind of figure out what angle you want to go and who you want to be.
Yep.
And then you figure out which one you want to do next. You may want to be an entrepreneur, but entrepreneur may make sense next, right? You want it to be an entrepreneur may make sense next. So this movement of entrepreneur got a lot of people to become entrepreneurs who should have never become entrepreneurs.
Right.
Okay, they just should have never become entrepreneurs because they did not experience the element of being an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur thinks, works, is wired, looks at money, people, talent, recruits, sells the dream. Everything an entrepreneur does is identical to the entrepreneur. The only difference between the entrepreneur and the entrepreneur is the entrepreneur put up the money. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Meaning, there is nothing else that's different there. The same amount of sacrifices this guy's willing to make, this guy's willing to make. He just didn't put up the money, right?
Which is a whole different level of sacrifice.
Whole different level of
pressure, stress.
You got it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why the entrepreneur respects the entrepreneur. It's like the hidden code. Listen, man, I'm willing to do everything you're doing, but I didn't put up money. Salute.
Right.
I respect you. This is why you're number one, I'm number two. But I salute you. What do we need to do, right? And there's that element of respect for one another. Now, the entrepreneur has to be willing to allow an entrepreneur to exist. So, for example, Bob Iger's story. Bob Iger starts off with ABC years ago, young guy coming out, doesn't know what he wants to do, accidentally gets a job. He starts working at ABC. Then he works his way up. Then it's his dream to be a CEO of Disney. Then eventually becomes a CEO of Disney. He's the CEO of Disney for 15, 16 years. He ends up closing George Lucas and buy Star Wars.
Right.
He ends up buying Marvel. He ends up buying Pixar from Steve Jobs. And he ends up buying Fox. You do these 4 transactions. His salary was $67 million a year.
Wow.
Not net worth, salary. Never was an entrepreneur.
Right.
Bob Iger was never an entrepreneur. Clippers, right here, Ballmer. Ballmer's worth $57 billion. He's not an entrepreneur.
Wow.
He was an employee, number 5 or number
Really?
6 at, he was an employee at Microsoft.
Wow.
And then eventually, Paul Allen didn't want to do it anymore. He kind of wanted to step down. Bill Gates comes in, gets Ballmer. Ballmer takes it to the next level. Ballmer now owns the Clippers. So there are many entrepreneurs that started the company that own 100% of their business, but they're making 80 grand a year.
Right.
They're making 600 grand a year because they wanted 100% of control. Ballmer's like, listen, I'm good. Gates started it, but I'm worth 58 billion.
Yeah.
so the road to what you're solving for, you don't have to say, I have to be an entrepreneur. No, you don't. Maybe the better option for you is go find, if you can find a killer on the way up, if you can find a killer on the way up. So, if you looked at everybody as a stock, let's just say we started looking at everybody as a stock, okay? So you have small cap, mid cap, large cap. What's the difference between a small cap, mid cap, large cap? It's a dollar amount, 5 billion less, 5 billion to another. And then you have the large cap, all these Disneys, Walmarts. These are large cap, right? But the key is if you can figure out when they're a small cap. The key is if you're at the PayPal Mafia group and you see somebody who says, that guy's going to start Yelp. I'm going to go run with that guy. That guy's going to start, Tesla.
Uber.
Uber. That guy, Peter Thiel, I want to go do something with him. I don't care if I'm his number 2 or number 3. I want to go with this guy. He put $500,000 into Facebook, worth a couple $2 billion. This guy's coming up. I want to go where, like Maverick Carter is going to be somebody the next 20 years, right? If you can figure out a way to run with him because you are one contact away from LeBron. So if a guy wants to get into media, and let's just say you want to do something in the African-American community, figure out a way to go work for Maverick Carter. His stock's going to be high 20 years from now.
Right.
I mean, it's big today, but I'm talking really high.
Yeah.
So if you can make a list of guys where you can have an eye for it, it's almost like picking a husband or a wife, because picking a husband or a wife, there's a risk factor. You go to dinner and say, babe, I love you so much. You're so beautiful. You make my day. When I see you, I'm just like I'm in heaven. He's like, I don't see anybody else. It's just clouds around me and angels, you know, and I see birds when we're together. And then the marriage conversation comes up, and your brain, you become a mathematician all of a sudden. Like, I don't know. I say 72% chance we get a divorce, but I'm willing to take that 28% chance risk. So there's an element that we get judged for our friends, we get judged for who we marry, we get judged for our girlfriend, our boyfriend, we get judged for career, industry. You also get judged on who you decide to lock onto and run with as a right-hand person, or as the person that you want to be their right-hand person. But if you can look at people as stocks, and you saw somebody that has a big upside, and you lock onto them early, it's going to be a wild ride.
Okay, let's talk about the $150,000 a year and under people.
Yeah.
They've been, you know, working hard jobs. They've been trying to save their money, but it just seems like they haven't been able to get past whatever it is, 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year, 150K. They've been kind of stuck, or they've crossed 100 grand a year and more problems have come to them because they're making more and spending more.
Yeah.
And they feel more broke than ever because they have no clue what they're doing with their finances still. It's the end of the year. They're about to start a new year soon, and they feel overwhelmed or just clueless still about and educated about their money and what their options are for just having peace of mind, structure, organization, and knowing that they don't have to stress about it and they can go earn more and it's going to pay off for them. Yeah. What's a few simple things that they should be doing right now to have a checklist to do before the end of the year to then crush for a whole 12 months moving forward?
All right. I'm going to give you something called the ladder of personal finance, which tells you where your money should go. Okay. This is just step by step. Put your money here. And if you want to know all the details about it, you can check out the system. So
it's in the book too?
It's in great detail in the book.
Got it.
All right. So if you've got some money lying around, what should you do with it? First of all, if you've got a 401k match at work, you should max that out. That's free money. Take advantage of it. And if you're not sure what that means, go to your HR person and say, does this company match any 401k contributions? If they say yes, do what I said. Next, if you've got debt, pay it off. Pay it off aggressively. You know, what's interesting is that most people in debt who I talk to don't actually know how much they owe. And that's shocking. You would think, of course they would know. No, they don't, because who wants to proactively
stare at their debt all day?
Yeah, and just feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But you know what? You feel much better when you have a plan. And the number one question I ask folks when they tell me they have debt, I say, number one, do you know how much you owe? They never do. Number two, for the rare people who say, you know, 15,000 or 70,000, whatever, I say, what is your debt payoff date? You can actually plug it in. You can plug in a debt payoff calculator online. You can map it all out, and you will be able to know the exact month your debt will be paid off.
Based on how much you're spending right now.
Based on how much you're contributing to that debt payoff. Now, you will be able to see that if you add an extra $50 a month or $100 a month, that thing will actually oftentimes shorten by years because of the interest. It doesn't matter if it's going to take you 3 months or 4 years to pay off your debt. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is that you know the date. Okay, so that's number 2, pay off any debt you've got. 3, if you've got money left over, go to your Roth IRA. And if you can, max that out. That's a great tax advantaged account.
It grows tax deferred, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So that's 3.
That's 3. Okay, it's actually post-tax money. And then 4, if you still got money, you're going to go back to your 401k, which is another tax-advantaged account. You're going to max that out. If you still got money, you're going to create a non-taxable, non-retirement account and just put your money in there. Now, there's a few other wrinkles to this. There's HSAs available. There's also your emergency fund that's talked about in the book, and all these things. They're details. But that just shows you, when you've got money, this is where you go. There's a structured way of thinking about it.
A ladder towards financial success.
Exactly. And if you follow the steps, it's almost like a waterfall. It just goes from step 1 to step 2 to step 3, and your money's going where it needs to go automatically, and you will feel great. You'll feel great, which is so important. And also, you're going to look at your accounts and see debt's going down. Investment and savings are going up. And all of a sudden, you wake up 6 months from now, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I have that much saved in my savings account. That's because of the decision you made today.
Let's say you're, working a job, making decent money, but you're not really breaking through and you're struggling to earn more to get out of that 50K a year type of range, maybe around there. And all your friends are making the same amount. All your peers are in the same boat. And everyone's stressed about money. and you hear someone say, well, you may earn the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
Should they cut all those 5 friends out of their life? Because my peers are holding me back if they're having those negative conversations, or how can they start to level up without cutting people out of their life?
Yeah, I never encourage anyone to cut off their friends. And I think that's a common misconception, that you have to close all the doors to your friends. Look, I've got friends from high school, junior high, that I still hang out with. And I'm not judging them based on their bank account. I don't even know how much they make or how much they're worth. That's not why I'm friends. But the average of the 5 people you're surrounded with, that is a very powerful idea. And instead of closing the door on the people you hang out with, why not open the door to some new people? Why not find people who go to your conference, for example, or who are on my site, people who are ambitious, who have gone through these programs, and say, you know what, can we set up a weekly check-in? It could be 5 minutes, it could be over text, but let's set up this check-in and just say, what'd you want to do last week? Did you execute? Why or why not? Every week, 9 a.m., Monday, let's do it. That's how you suddenly meet a group of people who are unapologetically ambitious. And that will change everything for you, because instead of having to drag people to these self-development conferences and they say, that's weird, I don't want to do it, the people you actively seek out are going to be like, yeah, I'm in, let's do it.
Let's do it, yeah.
And that's powerful.
Yeah, so find the new communities that you can have these conversations with.
Yeah.
And don't cut everyone out of your life, but just start having those conversations with people that are more aggressive.
Yeah, like, do you know what I told people to do on my Instagram account? So I told people it's important to find other people who support you. A lot of you are waiting around for some like millionaire to fall out from the sky and invite you to their private group. It's never going to happen. Never. Instead, why don't you start it yourself? And I said, go into my comments, write who you're looking for, and then invite someone to join you.
I like that.
You don't need to wait. No one's coming to rescue you. It's not a Disney movie. Nobody's coming. It's only you. So take control and go find someone and then build that together.
I like that.
Cody, working on the cameras here, asked a really good question. Does my opinion on investing in real estate change if you live in the Midwest? And I think the answer is, yeah, it can. The calculus on buying a house in the Midwest is different than cities like Manhattan, San Francisco,
Miami,
and LA.
yeah.
So again, the message here is not don't ever buy a house, but it's run the numbers to make sure that you're making the right financial decision.
Biggest failure you've ever experienced and the biggest lesson you learned from it?
Biggest failure.
Personally, professionally,
Yeah.
business?
Well, I mean, man, so many failures. Like, I wasted so many years, 9 years on drugs. That was a big failure.
The big lesson, though.
The lesson there is
Don't be
use
on drugs.
Fucking don't use any drug, dude.
Yeah.
Okay? Like I'm telling you, these drugs are they're so dangerous. Because particularly if you have a lot of potential. Don't use drugs, man. Number 2, another mistake was, I was too conservative with money for too long.
You were
I
saving
listened
too
to
much,
my
or you were-
rich uncle. He was a millionaire uncle. I listened to my millionaire uncle had too much of an influence for too long over my life. I should have been watching what the billionaires do. They don't operate like millionaires.
How do they operate differently?
They throw down. Totally different. Like the think is completely different. They don't worry about quarters. The millionaire's worried about quarters. He's a miser. They're misers. I know people worth $4 and $5 million. They're total misers. Total, like, degraded. They're as bad off as a freaking guy on a street corner. Won't give anybody anything, won't share anything, looks for every shortcut, every sale. Well, I know a guy that's a car dealer that he must own 25 car dealerships. He probably makes, I don't know, $400 or $500. He's got to be worth $1 billion.
Really?
He goes twice a year and gets one of his employees to get a new Macy's card so he can get an extra 15% off.
Really?
Freaking complete insanity. He's probably a billionaire on paper, but not a billionaire in his heart. Because the real players, the real guys, they'll go out and buy a jet. That's why I bought a jet. I'm like, okay, my millionaire uncle would never buy a jet. That's a bad investment. But the billionaires, they all own them. Why? Because they value time more than money. Right? They want to buy time.
Because it doesn't make sense financially for you.
No.
You're losing money on
totally.
the jet.
All jets go to zero. So when you buy a jet for $60 million, you know that jet's going to zero. One day it's going to be in some salvage, some joint somewhere being taken apart for parts. So all jets go to zero. So you know when you're buying it, it's going down to zero. It's not going to be worth more money.
But the things it brings you.
But dude, it buys you time. It buys you. A jet is not like a boat, by the way. A jet can get you to business. People go to boats. Jets go to people. And so I can just tell you, we bought that jet 2 years ago. I paid for it the first year.
From the deals you got,
it
the
got
time
me
you
to new
saved
places.
from-
Yeah. And it got me a better quality of life because now my
course.
kids are with me, hanging out. And,
Yeah. Peace of mind as well. Yeah.
So big failures. I did business with a guy when I was 45 years old that I shouldn't have done business with. That was a huge mistake. And big lesson I got from that though was, I know what's true. I know when I see the indicators on a dude, I don't need anybody to tell me he's all right or not all right. I know what I know.
Trust the intuition.
Yeah.
Trust your discernment.
And what I see, not just the feeling, but like people do certain things. Bad guys do, and bad women, they can't hide it. They do certain things.
Yeah.
If you just pay attention. Everybody that's ever been in a bad relationship with somebody that left them with a worse situation, there was some clue along the way that you just denied. Later, you're like, damn, I knew it, man.
Exactly.
I knew she had something. I knew he had something. And now they gave it to me. Like that old saying, whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Chlamydia will go with you everywhere,
It's true.
right?
Images will go online of what happened.
Exactly.
Social
Or
media.
how about mental images?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Biggest thing that's holding you back right now, that's holding you back from reaching the next level?
Man, I don't know. Courage, probably,
You don't think you have enough courage?
I think I could use a dash more.
Really? What would you say is the biggest thing that holds him back from reaching to what his potential is in the next, year or right now? Nothing's holding him back?
That's my wife. She believes in me.
Wow.
I
Why do
mean-
you say courage?
I mean, well, because rather than bragging about the $90 million deal I'm going to do, I could go figure out how to do $900 million at one time. But instead I'm going to take the easy. I'm going to take the layup.
Why are you taking the layup and knocking the slam dunk?
Because man, dude, it's a big deal. $90 million's a big deal,
Heck yeah.
right? I'm like, damn, that's
Huge.
a big deal, dude. But if I was going to if I look back over my career, right? That's what I've been doing the whole time. I've been making the layups, even though they look like, oh goddamn, that's huge, right? But what are we comparing? We're just doing the middle class comparison thing. Elon Musk is going to Mars, man.
Yeah.
So and they're like, there's no life there. We'll create it. We'll put 2 fusion bombs above it, and we'll freaking explode them, and maybe something will happen. I'm like, damn, that's big, man. See,
crazy.
and that's why, man, that's the people you want to learn from.
Yeah.
Not just anybody and everybody online. People should be inspired by just 2 or 3 or 4 people like that the think is so enormous, right? So anyway, rather than doing the $90 million deal, I should hey, why don't I just go do 10 of those at one time? 900. The 10X thing, it doesn't really, there is no end to the 10X
No,
thing.
because once you're there, then it's another 10X.
Well, 10 is, and the X is a multiplier.
Yeah.
So most people miss that in the book. They're like, oh, it's 10X. You got to 10X everything. I'm like, dude, the X is a multiplication symbol. It's 10 times, right? And it doesn't end. It just keeps timing. So, that song, I think Jay-Z does it. He's like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. No, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 20 million. I'm so good at math. Because he's jumping. He's looking for leaps. And so I would go do a $900 million deal. That would be awesome.
What's it going to take for you to go do that now?
Courage and a heavy pitch. I mean, I need a whipping cream pitch.
I feel like you got it. I think you got both those, don't
I
you?
need a whipping cream pitch, dude. Heavy whipping cream. And oh, you just got that. And I need some dough, dude.
Oh, you need money to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I need 100. I need 225 million.
So who's got your money?
That's right. That's the battle cry.
Who's got the
But
money?
see, this is good, dude. You
I
got me
know,
all jacked
I know.
up, man. I'm gonna make you a piece of this deal.
Who's got
This
the 100
happened
million?
right here
Who's
in
got
the house of greatness.
Who's got the 100 million that you can go get?
Yeah, I can get the
right
225. The 225 is not the problem. It's like, can I go pitch?
Who do you need to pitch to?
I need to pitch to a group. I
Which group?
I need to find somebody that needs me on the ground. You know,
Who needs
Chinese, Japanese.
There's no one here locally.
This deal could be. You know, I need to go think that way. See now, damn, dude, the school of greatness.
That's why
What
people
class-
come here.
Huh?
That's why people
No,
come
this
here.
big, dude. Because see, now here's the problem with me. Once I bite the apple, I don't let go of it. I can't. I'll never be able to get off this 900 now.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I feel like you're playing small.
Yeah.
I feel like you've been playing, like you play big to the like so many people that watch you.
Yeah.
But knowing you and being around your energy and seeing how you do events, I'm just like, damn, Grant is just like throwing it down and it's so easy for him. They look big, but it's not that big for you.
You're right, dude.
It's so small,
Dude.
compared to what I know you're capable of.
Dude.
And I see like the confidence that you have in the way
Fuck
you
you.
pitch.
Why are you talking dirty to me?
The confidence you
Shit,
have
I'll
in the way
cheat.
you pitch.
Elaine, I'm about to cheat on you right now.
I'm serious though.
She'd be like, let's roll.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
The
No, that's
confidence
awesome.
I have when I watch your videos of you just on the phone with someone selling, like whether it's a $500 package to $500,000 package.
Yeah.
You just have so much. There's just nothing that holds you back, and so I don't understand. It's just a couple extra zeros.
Dude, nobody
The
even
same,
knows
it's the
anything's
same deal
It's the same deal.
between a $2 sticker and a $2 million deal. It's the same deal, and you got the courage and the energy to make it happen already. So I don't know what the hell you're waiting for.
It's wrong. Dude.
Who's got your money? Go give them a call right now.
Dude, there's so much money on this planet.
So much.
It's unbelievable.
I want to
when you
commit. Here's what I want.
See, but look,
Before
when we
before
start
you
having these conversations, this is like I'm at a campfire.
Here's the thing.
I feel like I need a marshmallow right now. we're toasting the marshmallows, and you're my camp teacher, right? This is getting weird, right? Okay. Hey, what are you doing in my camping bag? That's weird. Okay. So I'm in here, I'm roasting my marshmallows, and you're like, hey man, dude, and I'm like, dude, and the stars are out there, and it's dark, and it's nice, no mosquitoes though.
Oh, I hate mosquitoes.
Oh, I fucking hate them, man. We went to St. Bart's, man. There were so many mosquitoes.
I can't go. Mosquitoes love me. I can't
do
do
they
it.
do?
I can't
Then
go
you have
anywhere.
to come.
Oh, no.
Because if they love you, they'll stay off of me.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, so you see, you just changed my life.
Here's
bro.
the thing I want to...
And this is the beautiful thing about being around people like you. You know, getting around the right people.
Yeah. I want a commitment from you
Yeah.
of a date this year that you're going to land a $900 million deal.
Man, I can't do that this year, dude. I mean, that's
Why not?
real. We don't need to put a date on it, okay? I don't need to put a date on it, but I can say that,
I want to know by when.
yeah.
Whether it's
I
this
could
year
probably pull this off.
or next year.
Yeah, I could pull this off. I could probably pull this off. Well, one, I guarantee I'll pull it off in my lifetime.
Yeah, but why not this year? Why does it have to be 3
I'm the one
5
with
more
the
years?
jet, bitch. I'll take time out of the equation. Trust me, man. I see the target. Once I see the target, okay, it's how fast can we get there now?
Yeah, so how fast?
So you inspired me, bro. I'm gonna give you. I think we should give him like a small percentage of this deal, don't you?
I don't need anything. I want the satisfaction that you're
Now,
going
why
to
you
create.
say that?
Because I know.
I'm offering it to you.
Well, if you want to give it to me, I'll take it.
Shit, man, that'd be good, dude. That'd be good.
I'll take it.
That'd be good. You know how much mileage we could get out of that?
I'm in. Whatever you want to give me, I'll take it. But
I tell you what
I
I'll
don't
do.
need it.
I'll do the $900 million deal, and I'll do it within 36 months.
36.
Yeah.
What
And I'll
would
try
it-
to take time out of that. And when I do it, by the way, I'll come back here. Okay. And I'll make it available on social media while we're doing the deal.
That'd be huge. I would love to
I
see
won't
it.
close the doors. Okay. So now I also have to figure out how to get a group to let me actually make it visible. And they don't like that. Because you know how all these rich people, they go behind the curtain, you know, they get rich and they're like, okay, now we're going dark.
Right. Maybe you don't
And
have to announce who they are or something, but yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to see you shrink that in half the time.
18 months. That's the number.
I don't know.
That's
I
what
don't know
I was
why
thinking. I was thinking
you're playing
18
so
months.
safe.
We were
That's
thinking
my-
18 months. We were thinking 18 months.
You're just playing.
Do I
Isn't
have
it
to
being
get?
safe right now?
Do I have to?
I don't know. I don't know why you're waiting.
Yeah.
You got everything at your disposal
Well,
right
dude,
this
I need
moment.
money. I need 225. I need
There's
225
a few guys who
million.
have that, right? That you can
You're
just
right.
say, give me the
but
money.
then I
let me
need
do
the
deal.
property. I need $900 million worth of property. So that's 9,000 apartments. That's what that is. 9,000.
Doesn't seem like that
apartments.
many. How many you got right now?
I got 4,000. So I got to do.
Almost a little more than double.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal, man. Seems like nothing.
Yeah, man. Get
Let's
me on.
go, baby.
Get me on Ellen.
Let's go. She's not going to do it for you.
No,
You're going to do it for
She
you.
won't have me on the show either.
Exactly. I like this. Okay,
She's like,
let's
You're a fucking carnivore.
let's go over a
We
few
don't
more-
have carnivores on the show. This is daytime TV, man.
Let's do a few more questions. You
Okay,
down?
I love you, Lewis.
I love you
Everybody out there in podcast land, okay, you got to give Lewis some super props. Awesome dude, man. Awesome dude.
I appreciate it. Let's talk about balance.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's people listening right now who are thinking, like, Grant is crazy.
Yeah.
He's got everything he wants. He's got more money than I could ever dream of. This seems unrealistic.
That was good, that conversation we just had, though.
Yeah, it was.
I feel like I was with my priest.
Yes. Does he have a balanced life? He's got two kids. Do his kids ever see him? Does his wife ever see him? Is it just about money, money, money all day long? Or is there anything else that's invaluable to his life?
Dude, I spend more time with my kids than 99% of the people I know. I spend more time with my wife than 99.9% of all the husbands out there. So you guys judging me from freaking 56 miles away, you don't know what I do. People be like, man, do you ever sleep? I sleep more than most human beings. Okay. You guys don't see all that because you see what I do when I'm awake. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm the guy that's on Snapchat with my kids and getting hated on for that. Oh, why you got your 3-year-old? Because she's in my life. I mean, what should I put her in a closet?
Right.
Oh man, you got your wife on there. Yeah, dude, I got my wife on there. You know what? I'm proud of my wife. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing my life. I'm not doing a Snapchat or a YouTube video or a real estate deal. I'm doing my life. So when you challenge me with the 900 million, the first thing I'm doing, like, I don't know if you saw my whole head just spinning off right here, dude. I was like, I'm just going through all the calculations, time, money, where's it going to happen? Who do I got to pitch? I mean, I'm glad I came here. I don't know if anybody else will get anything out of this. I guarantee you I'm going to make more money than there's going to be views.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm inspired. So, yeah, I got plenty of balance. I'm just not in search of it.
Right.
Because I'm doing my life.
Yeah,
I'm doing my life.
It's all together.
Yeah.
And you're
I take
working out,
I take whatever's on the table is what I take. So I just take whatever's there.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is I'm not trying to spin plates. I'm not trying to manage an activity. Time management is another management activity. It is completely ridiculous that people without time would try to manage it. Like, dude, you can't even manage what you have now. Why would you end up with another task?
Right.
Now, now I got to manage my time. Okay. So, I know Tim Ferriss, the 4-hour work week. I don't know why. Every time I say time management, I think about Tim Ferriss. I'm like, dude, that's just dumb. Ain't nobody ever done a 4-hour work week. I'd kill myself. Might be the cause of depression. Like, stay busy. Stay busy. You won't put a gun in your mouth.
Yeah.
There's
no purpose.
Run from one thing to the next thing as fast as you can. And everybody's like, oh, man, but what about life balance? You're selfish. See, we're back to talking about yourself again, Rather than, sometimes I don't want to do the kids, This will give me a bad father check mark. Dude, I tell Elaine all the time, I'm like, but you ain't got to be with them all the time, okay? They're 5 and 7. Nobody likes a kid that long, okay? Come on. Nobody would like a 5-year-old kid that long.
24/7, yeah.
Huh?
24/7, yeah.
Now, it's not good TV, but it's true, right?
Yeah.
So I have a life where I get to spend the time with them I want to spend with them, where I'm the good father, and then I'm done. Okay? I know this sounds terrible, but that's what I want. And by the way, they're going to be done with me before I'm done with them anyway.
Right.
It's not like they want 2 hours of Papa.
Right. They're off to their video game or watching a movie or playing with their friends.
Exactly. So, but I do want good time with them. So what I do is I create situations where I get to go spend good quality time with them. Buying the jet was one thing. That was a completely unselfish thing to do. So my kids could be on that plane with me, running up and down the aisles like little fucking maniacs, swinging between the seats and doing their deal. And they don't have to put seatbelts on and nobody's telling them to sit down and the food's good. And they get to get on the microphone with the captain. Welcome to 10X Airlines, where everyone gets to do whatever they want. My kids do this interview. We should get them a copy of that to play in the show. Candy for everyone, right? So my kids get to do that, dude, and my kids are not spoiled, by the way. Okay, they exchange with us in big ways. But that's what I mean about create the life you want, man, so you can have not balance, but life, right? I'm doing my life. I don't do jobs. I do my life. So coming here to be with you today, adds quality to my life. I didn't come this to spread the Grant Cardone name. I spend time with Lewis Howes because it makes Grant's life. Yeah.
I like it.
Come on, man.
What's a non-negotiable for you? Every single day you must do.
Yeah.
That you feel like you have, no matter what, whether it's
Man,
prayer
I
or
got
being with your.
5 days of workouts, man. I'm feeling kind of shredded, right? Shredded executive.
You do look lean, man.
Huh?
You look really lean.
No, thank you, man. I'm working on
And
it.
you're how old are you? You're almost 60. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's
man.
crazy, man.
It's crazy, dude. It's
Staying
crazy.
youthful.
It's crazy. Let's see. Non-negotiables.
Something you got to do every single day.
Yeah, I don't really think like that, but I do like the question. I don't really think like that.
Like, is working out something you feel like you
Yeah,
must do?
yeah,
Otherwise,
I'd like to, but you know, I can give up on it without, you know, it is right now. For the next 3 or 4 weeks, I will work out every day. A non-negotiable.
it's like you got to kiss your wife. You got to tuck your kids into bed. You know, I don't know. No.
Nah. I don't think like that. I think you know, I know what you're getting me. You know, dude, I push myself so hard. I don't. You know, I don't have a list of non-negotiable. I just like when people talk about beast, I mean, if anybody ever wants to give me a compliment, call me a beast, because that is the thing that I most relate to. This beast-like, not a hustle, not a grind, but beast mode. I am machine-like. I think Terminator. I'm like, dude, I like the Terminator. I am machine-like.
Yeah.
I am very machine-like.
Yeah.
I think about this, you know. So
it.
yeah, I have tremendous work ethic. You know, Gary Vaynerchuk tried to. He's like, I outwork you, Grant. I'm like, dude, people that outwork other people don't talk about it. Okay, I mean that's not work.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have bragging rights on who works the most. Okay, you either are in beast mode or you're not. And so there's no reason to like. I get the big title for. He works his ass off, by the way.
Yeah, he does.
You know, and so do I. And everybody could do more. Everybody can work more, and it won't kill you.
You've built a very rich life, not just financially, but in your marriage and your family, your friendships, your client relationships. You've built a rich life. I'm curious, what are the 3 things that poor people do that rich people don't do? Or you can reverse it. What are 3 things rich people do that poor people don't do?
Well, I can tell you, they have the intuition of how they judge people, because everything is about the whole intuition part, right? You're sitting there, who you choose to befriend, who you choose to have relationships with, you know, and how you water those relationships. Because if you want to have a relationship together and it's just take, nothing's going to happen. I remember I'm a 24-year-old kid. I don't know nothing about business. I've done some stuff in sales, but I really don't know nothing about business. I'm a 22-year-old kid. I go and I take this guy. I go to a job interview at the advertising group. Shout out to Jamie Hebb. And I watch this guy. He interviews me. I'm at that time working at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, but I'm trying to see what else I want to do. Okay, so I got started the day before 9/11, but I'm still interviewing. I sit with him in the interview, and the way he interviewed me, I sat there and I said, I will never work for this company because it's just not what I want to do, because they were selling Xerox machines and business to business. I said, but I want to have a relationship with you. I said, do you mind if I get your business card? He said, yeah, sure. I said, okay, great. So he gives me his business card. Year and a half later, I get a job. I'm doing good. At this point, I'm making some income, 23 years old. I call him up. And I said, Jamie, you don't remember me, but I want to take you out to lunch, and I want to pick your brain if you don't mind. I told you a year and a half ago that I wanted to do this with you. And you said yes. He says, great, let's do it. So we go to Macaroni Grill, somewhere in Culver City, right around here, like Victory, Overland, somewhere around that area. So we go there. He brings this drop-dead gorgeous girl that works for him. I think her name is Natalia or Natasha or something with N, right? And she's beautiful. She's sitting right there, and I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to woo me to go be one of his sales guys. And I said, look, with all due respect, you're beautiful, but I have no interest in you. My interest is in you. Is it fair if we just talk business for an hour? He says, yes. So I went, okay? Now, at this point, he's making $1 million. I'm making 50 grand a year. I'm a nobody, okay? We have lunch again. I'm taking notes. I offer to pay. He doesn't let me pay. He pays. He says, I got it. No problem. When I leave, I send him a book. We had this meeting that we did every 3 to 6 months together at this restaurant, Argentinian restaurant called Bamboo, which they had this beautiful soup. Every time we would have dinner with him or we'd go to lunch, I would always send him a book. 10 years later, he says, every time I meet with Patrick, a book is on its way, okay? So I valued the relationship. I asked him, what do you need from me? How can I bring things to you? Years later, he gives me one referral. That one referral he gave me helped me open up Florida. If he doesn't give me that referral, that Florida office wouldn't have been opened up, right? One contact opens up a whole state, okay? So another relationship I can tell you about is I was going to churches and I said, let me see what's going to happen with these churches. And I'm going to churches and I'm going to these different places. And I'm studying Scientology, I'm studying LDS, I'm studying Jehovah, Judaism. I'm studying everything. At this point in the game, I was obsessed with religion. So all I want to do is study everything about religion, right? And I'm 24, 25. I eventually find this church called Shepherd of the Hills, which is ran by a guy named Dudley Rutherford. And I go to this place. And I'm an atheist, so it's not like I'm going in there. I'm just trying to see what's going on over here. I'm just trying to learn. I'm not trying to do it. I go to this place and I'm like, okay, I like this guy's style. You typically go to church. If you don't do this, you're going to hell. And I'm like, dude, I don't need to know I'm going to hell. I know I'm going to hell. I just want to know I have a shot in heaven. You know what I'm saying? So this guy's energy was, you have a shot at heaven, right? I'm like, okay, cool.
All right.
This is my tryout. I feel a little better, right? I know the screw ups what I've done in my life. Let me see, maybe I got a shot over here. So I go there, and I'm sitting in the back. I watch him once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. I'm like, wow, I like this guy. So then I sent him an email, a little bit of an arrogant email, but I'll tell you what the email was. I sent him an email and I said, listen, my name is Patrick Bet-David. You don't know who I am, but I'm going to be somebody in the world. And I know you are somebody in the world, but I promise you, if you give me your time, I will always bring value to you. Wow. It will not be a waste of your time, okay? I'm not doing anything at that time at 25. I got a small little office operation, nothing crazy. We go have a lunch together at Black Angus off Canoga or Topanga. We go to Black Angus, we sit down, we talk. After the meeting is over with, I said, what can I do for you? Nothing there. We go out again, what can I do for you? Nothing there, what can I do for you? Nothing there. Eventually, he says something happened with my son at Moore Park basketball, and I made a phone call to the coach, and I spoke to the guy, and anonymously, because I didn't like the way this whole situation was handled. He probably doesn't even know the story. I know the people may know, but he may not even know the story. So I make the phone call. We get closer. He marries my wife. We change our wedding to Friday. It was set up on Saturday to Friday so he can wed us. Anyways, in 2008, 2008, he introduces me to Tom Ellsworth. You know how I talked about Tom earlier? He introduced me to Tom, okay? And Tom comes, okay? In 2009, he introduced me to Matt Sapala. Matt Sapala and Sheena, I got introduced to 09. They just got promoted this last week at West Palm Beach to the Chief Distribution Officer, PHP, right? He is now the CDO, okay? We've paid him in the first 6 months of the year over $1 million. They're doing very good at what they do in the business here. But if I don't have that contact and I water him what his needs are, not what I can take, if I give the needs I don't have those contacts. So I think too many times when, you build a relationship with somebody, it's immediately, what can I do, what can I, and by the way,
what can I get from you?
Yeah, and I remember how you were the first time we met. When we were done, you and I went to Earth Cafe with Jen, and I think we even went and looked at some furniture, and there was like a Google shop that we went there. I don't know if you remember that, across from Earth Cafe. And you said, Pat, how can I help you? What do you need from me? What can I do for you?
It was on the corner after
exactly,
we walked out.
Exactly. So we walked in, babe, she said, yeah, I really like this Lewis guy. I don't like this approach, how he is. That's the dynamic that you don't see behind closed doors. People may see School of Greatness, people may see the books, but behind closed doors, the context is about what can I do for you. So you asked 3 things. I'd say the biggest one is figure out ways to strengthen relationships and take them deeper, because you never know. Just like everybody thinks you're, one sale away or one opportunity away, you're one contact away from your life changing. If you start valuing your contact like a book of business, everything changes.
That's true. What I heard you say there was intuition, study, and relationships.
Sure, yeah.
Does that cover those kind of 3 things? And I think when you think about people that aren't making the money that they want and don't have a rich life, whether that be quality of life, they probably aren't discerning their decisions and being intuitive about who they should spend time with. They aren't researching more ideas and expanding their mind, and they aren't giving in those relationships. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think sometimes it's also not knowing what something could lead into. You know, a guy one time came into Morgan Stanley,
Yes.
Dean Witter, on a Harley Davidson bike, and he had tattoos, and he looked rough, very rough. No advisor would take him. He says, I'm looking for an advisor. No advisor would take this guy. Yeah, I need an advisor. And they're like, oh, there's a bank downstairs.
A financial advisor.
Financial
Yeah.
advisor, well, Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter, Glendale, no one wants to take this guy.
Like, this guy's got no money.
Yeah,
he's no
so the guy
potential.
comes out, he sees, he says, oh, just give him to somebody else. I'm good. The guy in the corner office that has a couple $100 million under management, he leaves. Then the new guy takes him. Then the guy comes, I have $50 million to invest. He got an inheritance. That one account was $50 million.
Changed his life.
Changed his life.
Yeah.
And he put the 50, and the rookie broker got a $50 million money under management. You're getting 1 or 2 points on that.
That's
Life
crazy.
changing. So the
For
point
life.
For life.
Every year.
Every year, generational wealth. We're not talking
Yeah.
about like a small thing here. So you can't just sit there and look
Mm-hmm.
at relationships that you never know the potential of a contact. You have to know every contact could take you to some place that you don't know. It's like a movie. You don't know the next scene. You know, so you can't just assume what that contact's going to lead into.
Yeah.
Sometimes the smallest contact can lead into something big.
One of the things I love about you, Patrick, is you remind me of my dad so much and my childhood. My dad, I think I told you, my dad was a life insurance salesman for 32 years until he got into a brain accident. He got in a car crash, and he's still alive today, but he had to stop working. And he also became an entrepreneur, launched the health insurance vertical in conjunction with Northwestern Mutual. And he does everything you do. And my whole business model and just the way that I live is based on what I witnessed him doing. And this was pre-social media, pre-internet.
Wow.
He would just remember names like nobody's business. He was so giving, so thoughtful, and he was always thinking in the long term. He wasn't like, how can I sell you now, but how can I give you now? He would do this every day. He would read the newspaper, and he would cut out the newspaper every day and write long letters and put in envelopes and send it out to people that were clients and people that are not clients. If it was someone's kid in sports that, you know, was, hey, they had their best game ever. Hey, I just wanted to send you this clipping of the newspaper, to just people in the community.
That's
We're
on
a
a
small
whole different
town.
level, though, man. That's
And
incredible.
handwritten letters, and just send it to them and say, hey, you know, if I can ever help
Wow.
with anything, let me know.
Yeah.
And it was that kind of old school mentality, but he would always just show up for people, just take meetings to take them, and wasn't always trying to sell, but just trying to serve. And that's really kind of how I built my business early on. Was when I had nothing at all, I was just like, what can I learn from someone, and how can I ask them what they need, and then deliver on that need as fast as possible, and not ask for anything in return. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've been able to grow, is because of the relationship building. You know, Ben, our producer, I met him 9 years ago when he was a student at Columbia Journalism School, getting your master's, right? And he was working on a documentary about handball. I was in handball at that time in New York City and really liked the way he made the documentary and followed his journey over the last 9 years, stayed in touch every year. We needed a head producer to really build our content. And I reached out to him, and the timing right, the sequencing was right, and we had the relationship where it made sense, at least for now. Maybe he leaves at some point, but it's been great so far in the last 4 months. And I think you never know where the relationship will go. Even if it didn't work out, it's still worth building relationships.
No question. Yeah.
Even if we never work together. Because you just never know who that person might introduce you to, who might say your name behind closed doors, where it unlocks some opportunity. You never know. So you remind me a lot of my dad. in
Well,
that
that's a
fact.
big
Yeah,
compliment,
yeah.
man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I think if more people came from that place of how can I just care about people and help them solve their problems, you're going to gain a lot back in return long term, whether it's with that person or not. And you talk about money a lot on your show. And you have an amazing video about your top, I think it's your top 20 rules on money. I'm curious, since we're going into the rich-poor conversation, what would you say are the top 3 to 5 rules on money if you could boil it down to 3 to 5?
It's a game. The number one rule is it's a game. You're playing a game. It's that simple. You know, if you look at it as a game, just like anything, you can get better at it, right? Like whatever game you play. If you play Uno, if you play Monopoly, if you play Clue, if you play
Fortnite.
Jenga, if you play Fortnite, anything you play, you know, you're gonna get good. I remember in my time, I was playing Fester's Quest. I played Zelda.
Zelda,
I used to play Final Fantasy 1, and I would play obviously Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. But it was also what was the Mario Kart? Is it Super Mario Kart? And you know how you would do the 3 jumps and then bam, it's going fast. And I would beat this time 32 seconds. I was so proud of it. But I played it 50,000 times, right? So the game with money It's exactly what it is. Once you learn how to play the game with money, then it has to do with timing. Then it has to do with different kind of things. Like, you know, a year ago, I get a call from a guy who needs cash. It's okay. So
He needs an investment.
he has something he has to sell immediately to get cash in return. Okay, because he needs the money right away. So I said, okay. So what are you selling? He says it's the 2 greatest Wayne Gretzky cards. I said, okay.
Signed or unsigned?
No, this is a PSA 10 1979 OPG Topps.
Signature?
No sign, but it's the Holy Grail. So
Wow.
the OPG one sold in 2016 for $453,000. Okay.
Wow.
And just 5 years prior to that, it sold for $92,000. So from $92,000 to $451 in 2016, and he calls me. And a top sold in 2016 for $205,000. So 2 cards combined sold in 2016 for 600 and, you know.
He has them both.
He has them both, and he wants to sell it to me. And I said, okay, what do you want to sell it for?
He's like 600,000.
Yeah, he says, of course he wants to. I said, I'm not going to pay you that. I mean, you know, he wants 650. I said, I'm not going to pay you that, but we talked about it. And eventually he gave me a number, right? And it was still a number. I had to still cough up, you know, $500,000 check to the guy. But we met at the PSA headquarters, classy guy, total gentleman. We sat down, transaction happened. The CEO of PSA came, showed us the poster on the PSA headquarters. I think it's in Newport. Of the card is on the wall. It's the most expensive hockey card in the world, right? Okay, no problem. So
You're a hockey fan?
I'm not a hockey fan. I'm an investment guy with hockey. But I've interviewed Wayne Gretzky 6 years ago.
Wow.
So I like greatness. I like anybody
Yes.
that just goes and crushes it with their game, right? So I buy this card. So I buy the card. I don't think much of it.
One card, not 2.
2 cards. It's both of them. I bought both of them, yeah.
Wow.
So the other guy who owns the card wouldn't sell his card for $1 million if you paid it to him. So here's what I do know.
2 guys own the card.
Me and the other guy. There's only 2 of us. Okay. You paid $1 million, he won't sell it to you. So that means there's only one in the market because it's me, because I'm willing to sell it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So it's on eBay right now. If you go on eBay right now, you type in Wayne Gretzky OPG, it's on market right now for $1 million, right?
Wow.
What the one of them is on the market for $1 million, the other one's on the market for $400,000. So you asked me for a rule of money, I had cash. If I don't have cash like that, I can't double my money that quickly. So we just talked about 3 of them. Money's a game. You need cash because opportunity is going to come up, and it's a doubles game. So if I put
doubles
it down,
game.
it's a doubles game. Everything about money is a doubles game.
What's that mean?
A doubles game to me is I pay you $1,000. Can we double it in 6 months? No. How long? In 12 months? Okay, no problem. I'll do a double in a year. Here's $1,000. I get a double back, right? So if you take 1,000 and you double it every year, what happens? 1,000 goes into 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 256, 5, 12, $1 million. $1,000 is 9 doubles away from $1 million.
Wow.
Now you take $1 million and see what happens if we double it 9 times. 1 million goes into 2 million, 4 million, 8 million, 16 million, 32, 64, 128, 256, 5, 12, $1 billion. $1 million is 10 doubles away from $1 billion.
But how do you find the doubles?
Well, that's the game. That's the part of the game. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So the doubles now becomes investment opportunities. You know, what you buy into. Do you start a company where it has a high value, you know, you can really scale it and finding something that can scale? Do you invest into things that are going to give you 6, 8, 10%, or are you going to go play ball and take the risk? That's the game that you're going to start learning that, you know, part of my money is going to be hedged and I'm going to buy some gold because I'm not going to become a billionaire off gold, but I'm buying it because gold is money and something happens to the economy, I'm protected with the gold. But you know what? I'm going to put some of this money in mutual funds because I know long term I'm going to make 8 to 12% on this. I'm fine with that. I might do a real estate deal because long term I may do some money, although right now commercial real estate may be an interesting dynamic because I think Zoom crushed commercial real estate. The commercial real estate model it's been crushed.
Yeah.
And by the way, it may never come back the same way ever again. Commercial
Maybe
real
20
estate.
years from now or something. Who
Oh,
knows?
I don't even think. I think it's gone.
Really?
And here's what I mean. Look, we have this space, right? Okay, you got this space. Did you get it in the last 4 months? How long have you
Got
had
it
it?
before COVID.
Okay,
yeah.
so
6 months before. Yeah.
But if you get this today, right now, office space in Dallas, office space nationwide, companies are looking at their business models and they're just saying, why do I need 100,000 square feet of office space? Why do I need it? But if you go out there and you look at the numbers, you're like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to do commercial real estate, you know, but if I find if I team up with a investment banker, if I team up with a guy that's managing money, and I go with a VC team, and this is a guy that's, you know, flipping opportunities fairly quickly, and I dump $1 million with him, and within 5 years he turns $1 million into $5 million. That's 5x in 5 years. That may not be a bad idea. So you got to find those, and they're out there, by the way.
Yeah.
You have to. They're out there. So Ray Dalio plays a game of doubles. Warren Buffett's a doubles game. All these guys are doubles game. And
A lot of this investing in businesses.
yes, I'm a business guy. I'm not a real estate guy. There are
Yeah.
people that are, and by the way, that doesn't mean real estate doesn't work. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense for me to say there's real estate billionaires everywhere. Our president is a real estate billionaire. So for me to knock real estate would have no value to it. But for me, I'm more about, I have an idea. What are you guys doing? Me and Tiffany are thinking about starting a marketing company. Okay, how can this thing scale? Well, let me tell you what we got. We got 3 packages. Boom, boom, boom. Who's going to be target audience? We're going to be targeting people in this world. Okay, interesting. How much are they going to pay? We foresee us doing $6 million in revenue within 24 months. What have you done to be able to earn this? I'm a Columbia guy. I'm a this. I'm a this. How much money do you need? I need $2 million. I can't give you $2 million. Can I come in for $100,000? I put $100,000. The next thing, this thing sells for $200 million. That $100,000 all of a sudden became $2.2 million. That's a victory. So those opportunities are out there. You just got to focus. And then the last one I would tell you with the money. So we talked about what? We talked about game.
Money's a game. You need cash. It's a doubles game.
Doubles game.
Yep.
And I'll tell you one more would be you have to be maniacal about being patient. I mean, you have to be patiently aggressive. You know, patiently aggressive. It's so tough to do.
Because you want your money to double now.
Exactly.
But it might take 10 years.
Yeah, but if you are willing to do the 10 years, it may double 40 times. It may double 30 times. You know, like when Bezos said, just hang tight. I'm not going to give you dividends. Just trust me on this. Trust me on this, right? And at the beginning, if you've heard the story where he goes and raises $2 million from, he gets $50,000 from 40 people. That's what, $2 million. And he gives them 20%.
Wow.
20%.
He gives up 20% of that
He gives
$2
them
million.
20% just for $2 million. You know what that 20% is worth today? $200 billion.
gosh.
That's the point. So can you imagine 1994 Amazon gets started? Forget about you put $2 million. Just say you put $50 million.
Wow.
Just you put 50,000. What is 0.5% of a $1 trillion company right now? 0.5%. You're still a half a billionaire.
Wow.
Your 50,000 is worth $500 million, give or take whatever the numbers we're doing right. The point is, that is a massive victory. The guy who put $10,000 and he gave it to Berkshire Hathaway in 1974, I don't know if you've heard this story. You know, Warren Buffett is starting, he says, I'll give you $10,000. Never touches the money. Goes back to his regular job, makes $100,000 a year. You know how much that have you read this article?
No, tell me.
The $10,000, if you go on Business Insider, you pull it up, is worth $780 today.
780
Million.
million. Wow.
Never did anything to it. So that's the part about patiently aggressive.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do. But
So
the
hard to
doubles
do.
get bigger later on, not
Yes,
early on. The
they
doubles
do.
are bigger, you're 15, 20, 25.
That's what Buffett talks about. Just like his successes,
Yeah.
he's lived longer. You know,
Yeah.
he's just stayed around longer to let the money continue
Exactly.
to compound.
Yeah.
And that compounded interest is where it's at.
How important is the thoughts that you say in your mind quietly every day and the words you speak out loud every day? How important are they together, and which one is more valuable if you could only choose one? Negative thoughts but positive words? Positive thoughts but negative words? Or do they both need to be in alignment towards your mission and purpose?
Well, so I'll start with this. Your life is a physical manifestation of the conversation going on in your head. I'm going to start with that.
Can we just speak for like 24 hours on this? I love this.
Right. Your life is a physical manifestation of the conversation going on in your head. So if you said nothing but thought everything, your life is going to show up to make your thoughts true. So you have one job. You have one job in your life for you, to make what you think about life true so that you're not wrong. You don't want to walk around wrong. You want to be right about the life you see. So you're going to work hard to produce the life that you talk about in your mind. Whether that life is no one loves me, I'm all alone. You can be in a group of people and you will think, I'm so alone. And you will feel alone, and things will show up to co-sign your loneliness just because you're looking for that. And so if you start with, I'm going to say the mind, like the mind is that thing. The mind is the core engine. It starts all things. It shuts all things down. When I start thinking something different, I'm like, hold on, stop. I want to think something. I shut down that behavior. I shut down that outcome. When I birth something, I birth it in my mind. I focus on my mind. I see myself there in my mind. Before I got on with you, I was doing guided visualizations. I'm recording them. So people, and I mean, they're juicy. And I'm saying, see yourself here. Because if you can see it, and then the key is evoke the emotion as if you were there.
Yep.
Right? And that's why people who are sad all the time are sad, because they're thinking of things that make them sad. And then the emotion follows the thought. So I'm going to say everything starts with your thought, Lewis. But let me just say this. When you speak your future into the world. You speak your future. Whatever you say, whatever falls off your tongue, when you say I am, right? The unconscious mind says, and you are so. Whatever comes on the other side of that. And so you asked me a hard question, which one is most important? It starts with the thought. I think the thought is that's where everything originates. And then you add a whole lot of turbo boost to it with your tongue.
Yeah.
And so when you align the two, and then you add to it like the B12 of action. Action is like that's the nitro, like right? And I see so many people, they think it, they write it, they journal it, they talk about it, and they do no action. And I go, you understand that the action is that's like putting the flower in the sun, because it requires sun. And so, yeah.
Yeah, this is a beautiful explanation. And I had a Navy SEAL on, I don't know, 6-7 months ago. His name's Chad. And he talked about, as a SEAL, he used the tongue as a rudder in a boat. He said, what you speak is going to lead you down, the ocean or the river or wherever on the boat you're on. And so he never says anything negative out loud, because it's so powerful. In the Navy SEALs, he talked about how powerful it is, no matter how much pain they're experiencing in Hell Week and all this stuff they're dealing with. They never allow the tongue to speak something negative. Otherwise, they'll ultimately quit and give up.
Right.
It's too painful to deal with what they deal with.
Right.
To then say, I'm hurting, I'm tired, I can't do it.
Right. Don't speak that. Don't speak that into the universe. You just, because whatever you speak feels like it expands.
Of course.
Right. Energy grows where energy goes. It expands. So speak life. Speak possibility. There is not one dark situation that doesn't have a glimmer of light. It doesn't mean it's going to be convenient to see.
That's true.
And most of us are looking for convenient light.
Yes. Oh man, I want to speak for like 5 more hours with you, but I want to try to finish with a few final questions here.
Yes.
Even though I don't want to finish this.
We'll
have to come you back on. Yeah, we'll bring you back on.
Let's do this again. I promise it won't be as challenging to get me in the future. I promise, my friend.
I want to talk about for a moment purpose, because I feel like right now we're seeing a lot of people with scattered purposes, especially with everything that's happening in the world over the last 3 months, 6 months. I'm seeing so many big influencers go through divorce who were publicly had great relationships. I'm seeing people's businesses go under because of they were in the events business or whatever, and they weren't able to adapt and shift. I'm seeing people scattered with their purpose and unclear.
Right.
How can people, let's speak to this, because I think it's 2 different questions. One is how to truly figure out what your purpose is, because I think it's seasonal. What your purpose was when you were 10 is different now.
I agree.
It's seasonal, so it's hard for, it's a very broad question, and I don't want to set you up with that because I think it's unfair when people ask you that for me. But if you think, I know what my purpose is, like I know I'm meant to go do this thing. I think I'm supposed to go after this. I feel like maybe I should try this thing, but I'm afraid. How would you coach someone who knows what they're supposed to do, or at least they think they do until they figure it out and it's not it or it is it? How do you coach people or encourage people to actually do it, to actually overcome that final hurdle of fear, whether they're afraid of failure, afraid of success, afraid of judgment, whether they've got a really good life and a really good job, but it's just not it's not pulling them to their ultimate purpose? Where do you share in that line?
So one of the first things I do is I ask them to please, let's quantify and give life to what does it cost you to stay still.
Ooh.
So, you know, I'm a straight no chaser kind of girl, right? We're not just going towards something. We also have to realize that to the same degree that you asked the weight loss, why did I do it? Because what would it cost me with all my success? What would it have cost me to stay in that 220-pound body? What's the cost? And so when I saw that, that's why I responded. If I didn't give myself this, right, I was very clear with the cost. So number one, I would say, what does it cost you? And my students know me. I do this in my workshop, my trainings for my platinum level students and my coaches and students that are getting certified to be a Lisa Nichols trainer. And I ask them hard questions. What does it cost you to stay in that mindset? And they have to list it. And I say, and what part of the price have you already paid? And they just give visceral. They're like, And I say, so how long? I don't know. Whatever you want. How much longer do you want to pay that price?
Right.
2
years, 10 years, 2 months?
Are we PIF? Are we paid in full now? Are we PIF?
I'm paid in full and I'm keep paying.
Exactly. And so I use this metaphor that if you went to the store and bought a dozen eggs and you went home and you scrambled all the eggs and you cooked the eggs and then you took the empty carton back to the grocery store and you said, I'd like to buy these again. The cashier will go, but you already bought them. Why are you buying it? Why are you paying for it again? That's what we're doing. We're paying for the same behavior over and over again. And so one, get clear that you're PIF, that you're paid in full for not being in action. Like I've already paid it. I've done 3 years of wanting a dream and not have, whatever your reasons are, right? Number two is, let's talk about everything that happens if you fail. Let's just unpack that.
You go back to where you're at now. Yeah, you'll.
Right. Oh, actually, you never are back to where you are now because now you got some kind of lesson that you didn't have.
Yeah.
Right. You got some kind of experience. So what happens if you fail? Okay, great. So what lessons can we pull out of that? So now let's agree to, if we fail, let's fail forward. So then let's define, what does failing forward look like? So then we get very descriptive on what does failing forward look like? What will I do with the lessons? What will I'll document 4 to 6 things I did right. And I'll document 2 to 3 things that I can improve upon, and I'll implement them all on the next go round. So then we take out all the possibility. And I even go as far as saying, so what if people judge you? I unpack it. What do people judge you? Let's say they talk really bad about you on social media for like 3 days. Like it goes a while. Well, then what happens? Mm-hmm. Well, on the 6th day, I get up and do it again. So all of a sudden I take all the juice out of the balloon of all. We just deep dive into the darkness of your illusions, deep dive into the darkness of your mind. So like, what? Okay, well, I'll lose this money. Okay, you lost how much? 40,000. Okay, all 40,000 gone. So now what? I don't know. Okay, well, let's figure out a plan, because you already lost the money. We lost the money. Let's now I can start saving again, or I can do whatever. Okay, great. So then all these big possibilities are now just situations. Mm-hmm. Then I go to, so what can we do to eliminate the possibility of that occurring? So now we go into strategy. So I'm real big on strategy. I'm real big on milestones. I believe that you should not set a macro goal without setting several micro goals. So I live in micro goals. Like my number that I want to generate this year, I don't ever look at that after November of the year prior. After November 2019, I don't really look at it. I look at every monthly goal, because that's my milestone. I know that goal, and I know that goal is tied into my annual goal. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to worry about it. So I'm seeing if I'm on track, because I can handle that. That's palatable, right? So then a lot of times entrepreneurs set like big, bodacious goal, and you have a release of endorphins when you first set it, but then it goes away because you don't even know how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And so I'm real big on my, just on my campus, I'm real big on 3 things: a strategy, right? Milestones and accountability. Yeah. By when dates, by when, by who, right? And so make it doable, make it so you could see it, set it up in 90 days. And so I think that purpose comes with a plan. Ooh. And oftentimes we leave purpose so big and so ambiguous that it feels difficult to touch. And so if you're supposed to inspire millions, okay, great. So for August, How many you gonna touch toward that million? We're gonna get to millions. We're gonna get to millions. But are we touching 5,000? Are we touching 50,000? And then by November, did you grow your social media platform by 3% or by 30%? Like, let's something trackable and measurable so that you can see that purpose being fulfilled, so you can trust your picker. So many of us haven't had enough indicators, haven't had enough evidence that we've done it the way we thought we would do it or better, that now you're starting to pull back on trusting your picker. Well, you need evidence. If the court of law sends a man to prison because of evidence, or lets a woman walk because of lack of evidence, then why not use evidence in your life that you're ready for such a time as this? But you have to set it up in such a way where you can see the trackable evidence.
Is there a specific area for you that you feel like you need more work on than others? Obviously all areas, but is there one?
Well, there's all of them, because my company's nowhere near where I want it. I picked up a pen way back in 1973. I was living in Glenview, Illinois. I had just left the Nightingale Conant Corporation. I worked with Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant for 5 years. And I sat down and I said, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world. I had absolutely no idea how I was going to do that. But I knew if I could think it, I could do it. Because that's what all the great leaders have agreed on. They've disagreed in virtually everything else. We operate today, the Procter Gallagher Institute operates in 88 different countries.
Wow.
We have consultants that teach our material, that represent us in 88 different countries. When we stream a program, we go into around 115 countries. Now, if you'd asked me, how are you going to do that when I started? No idea. But I did know this. If you set a goal and you know how to do it, the goal probably isn't any good.
Ooh.
It probably isn't any good.
Wow.
Because if you know how to do it, you're going to go sideways. It's a repeat performance.
Wow.
You got to go after something you have absolutely no idea how you're going to do it. Now, I've had the good fortune of working with Edmund Hillary. He was a beekeeper from Auckland, New Zealand. He was the first man to climb Mount Everest. He went there in 51 and he failed. He went back in 52 and he failed. But in 1953, he and Tenzing Norgay stood on top of the mountain. But he couldn't tell you till after he got there how he was going to do it. And nobody could tell him because nobody had ever done it.
Wow.
So the trick, pick a goal that you really want, but you have no idea how to do it. Now, there's got to be a big learning curve there. And I'm still learning.
Wow. That's inspiring. I love that. And hopefully you can find mentors who have done it, that can guide you and you pick the right ones.
Right here, this author. These books behind me here. I've got, let's see here.
He's going on the hunt. I like it.
No. Here's one here. This is an original my son gave me as a gift. The Edinburgh Lectures on Mental Science. It is a heavy one. Here's another one. The Dory Lectures on Mental Science. These are written by a Thomas Troward. They were written back around 1910, 1912.
Wow.
They are incredible. And they are my mentors today.
Wow.
He is my mentor.
If you could only recommend 5 books that no other books would ever exist except these 5 books for people to read for the rest of eternity, and there would be no other books, hypothetical question, what 5 books would you recommend for people?
Think and Grow Rich. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. I'd recommend my own book, You Are Born Rich. Everybody's born rich. Most people are a little short of money, that's all.
Ooh.
Well, they should get into this, the Edinburgh Lectures on Mental Science. And then I'm going to give you one that's a long ways away from that, U Square by Price Pritchett.
Okay.
It's a little tiny book. Price Pritchett's is a consultant over in Dallas. He's written a little book, U Square. It's on quantum physics, quantum leaps. It's one of the best books I've ever read.
Wow.
These books are incredible. And it's funny, Troward taught me, he said, if you come to a point where you can't learn anything from somebody, you go inside. He said, go to the Fon Seterigo, go to the fountain and source, go inside. Now, I mean this in all humility. I've been studying this longer than anybody I know.
Yeah.
There's probably people study it longer than me, but I've been studying it for 59 years, and I study it every day. I don't know anybody that teaches what we teach like we teach it. I've had absolutely incredible teachers. So I don't go run around looking for teachers. I've got Troward. What he's written is so rich in truth. He's probably one of the greatest authors of the last 500 years.
Wow.
But the trick, though, Lewis, is you got to keep studying.
Mm-hmm.
And you only will keep studying if you're going after something you have no idea how to get there. But you know you can get there. The way there will be shown as you go after it. Step by step, it will come to you.
Why isn't it shown to us before we start going after it? Why does it take us?
You wouldn't understand it.
Mm.
You wouldn't understand it. See, the purpose of a goal is not to get. It's not to reach the goal. It's the awareness that you develop as you go after it. You're learning who you are. It's becoming aware of who you are.
Yeah.
I was in a seminar years and years ago, and there was a speaker, Bill Gove. Bill Gove was considered the Frank Sinatra of public speakers. He was incredible. He had a handheld mic, and he's looking at the audience, and he said, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me I think you think I should be. Not the me I think my kids think I should be. Not the me I think my wife thinks I should be. If I want to be free, I've got to be me. He said, I better know who me is.
Wow.
Now, I had a lot of this information at that time. This was years ago. But I was shy. And I wanted to teach it. I was afraid to stand up and ask a question in front of an audience. And so I made up my mind, I was not only going to learn to speak like him, I was going to get him to teach me.
Mm.
Now, he became a mentor of mine. And I realized then, if I take the areas where I'm a little 6 bit short, I'm just not really very good. And I didn't go to school, so there's a lot of areas. I'm going to get the very best, and I'm going to do exactly what they tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did when the man who gave me this book. He said, do exactly what I'm telling you. I did exactly what he said. 15 years or so ago, well, first of all, he became my mentor and very good friend right up until he passed away. Our company was having financial problems all the time. And I could earn all kinds of money, but I don't know how to manage it. Didn't know how to run a company. I mean, I wasn't designed for that. And I didn't want to learn it. I didn't even like the subject. But what you need, you will attract.
Mm.
And we had a lady come to seminar, was a securities attorney. She fell in love with what we were doing. She was a full partner in a company. And over a period of time, she became our business partner. She owns half the company. But she runs the company. She's the president, chief executive of the company. I mentioned to her last time, you should get her on for an interview sometime because she is a fascinating person. But she does a phenomenal job here.
Yeah.
Well, so I have found in the areas that I'm not very good at, I get the very best. And I work with them. I don't try and learn what they're teaching. I get them to do that. I get somebody else to do something else because it's going to take me to where I want to go. Mm-hmm. I have a young guy here that runs our studio. He's the director of the studio. He's absolutely brilliant. He set a goal when he was 13 to work with me.
I remember this.
He was living in Manchester in England, and he watched The Secret, and he saw me. He said, I'm going to work with him. 13 years later, he's here in the studio, and he runs this place.
I love that.
He's
Yeah.
incredible. He can record and send it from anywhere in the world. He can come in here and do everything. And I found that's one of the secrets of getting to where you want to go. You need help. You got to have help. You got to have a lot of help.
You saying we can't just do it all on our own, Bob?
Never going to do it on your own. You won't go very far if you're doing it alone.
I'm curious. I feel like you've got, again, decades of wisdom and knowledge from history that you lived through and experienced personally firsthand. You said you grew up during the Second World War. What was the lesson you learned in the Second World War at that time that people should know about today during this time? Two different crises.
Well, it's only in retrospect that I learned these things, because we go back, and I have to go back, and everything was rationed. So people were getting accustomed to live on lack and limitation. And it was part of the programming. And in looking back, the great lesson is, don't let what's going on program you. In fact, it's a good point to bring out right now because of this pandemic that's going on. We must not let this program us. This does not have to define us, doesn't have to dictate where we're going to go. It's got nothing to do with our destiny. As a kid, everything was rationed. I remember chewing gum was rationed. In fact, there's a good story. I'm going to take the time to tell you about it. We would go to the store. Our father was in Europe fighting, and we would send care packages every now and then. They would mail them, and they would get through, and we'd have pictures, of the family and all the stuff. And we'd put a package of gum in sometimes. We would be at the store, and if they put a package of gum out, it would just be one little box. It would be gone like that.
Wow.
Because you couldn't buy gum during the war. Wrigley's did not make gum during the war. They couldn't. And one of us would hold the gum while the other one home, see if there was enough money to buy it.
Yeah.
Because there might not have been enough money, we'd have to put it back. During the Second World War, Wrigley's could not make gum. The basic ingredient, apparently, for making gum comes from the Philippine Islands. The Japanese, who were in charge of the Philippine Islands, they had occupied the Philippine Islands, you couldn't get in to get the gum. Wrigley seemed to know that the war would be over, they'd be able to get the stuff, we'd win the war, and he'd get the stuff to build the gum. He never stopped advertising, buy Wrigley Spearmint Gum, all during the Second World War, even though they couldn't make it. A great lesson in there about advertising. People wouldn't believe that lived through the Second World War, wouldn't believe that they couldn't make gum then. Because he just kept enough, and he'd leak a little bit out every now and then to different places.
Wow.
Great lesson in advertising there.
Wow. It's kind of like.
But I think the greatest lesson that I've learned is looking back. My mother, God bless her, she was a special woman. She did not let that control her. And I think any really good qualities I've got for growing and building came from her. She raised three of us on her own, and God only knows how she did it. She was like a magician because she sure didn't have any help. But she did it. And she instilled us that if you want it, you can get it.
That's beautiful.
But,
it sounds like the you were holding Wrigley's gun back then, just like people are doing with the hand sanitizer right now. So that was this.
Yeah, but you see, people are permitting this to program them right now. If you're not thinking, this stuff's going right into your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And whatever goes in there, repetition over and over and over becomes part of our behavior. And it's, you can't deny it. It's there. Absolutely refuse to let it control you. Understand you can be thinking of how to win, how to get it done, how to go and do better. And you may have to adapt, you may have to change the game, but you can change the game. We are probably going to change the way we operate forever over the next few months. But we're prepared to do that. That's what Sandy was holding the meeting today with all the company. She was teaching them all. We got to get together. We got to bring our mind together. We've got to understand that this doesn't control us. We control us.
If you want to learn how to make more money and master money in your life, then check out this video right here.
Sure.
Because I was bankrupt. See, some people, you haven't pushed non-negotiable yet. You're still optional. I really would love to be successful. And so
I want to be
I
successful.
want to be successful.
I want to make money.
I want to make
be
money.
healthy.
I want to be healthy,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's not non-negotiable yet
Yeah.